Now, back to Miller on Sports, the show that puts pro in sports. Everything else is just talk. Brought to you by the law offices of Ron Scholes.
Special guest this afternoon joining us right now, Gene Deckerhoff, voice of the Seminoles. He's done a lot of work with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, inducted into the Florida Sports Hall of Fame in 2000, Jacksonville native. Gene, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. I'm heading toward my hometown right now.
Oh, that's what I like to hear.
I'm going to be there in Jacksonville for the Jacksonville Seminole Boosters kickoff dinner tonight.
Absolutely. That's at Latitude 30. Starts at 5:30. You'll be down there, open and free to the public. Should be a lot of fun.
It's always one of the best kickoff dinners that I go to. It's great to be in Jacksonville with I'll tell you what, it's the most phenomenal booster club that the Seminoles have, Jacksonville, Florida.
Oh,
Jim King put that together, started it, and before he got into politics, he had a pretty good booster club going over here.
Well, there you go. Well, Gene, do you get more excited for college football or the National Football League?
I get excited about football, period.
That's a good answer. Now
I got to walk that tightrope now, but I do. In fact, I couldn't wait till that first preseason game. I was out in Kansas City, and there was a Thursday night game. It was Seattle-San Diego, and it was just great to see football again. And obviously, Bucs have already played 2 ball games. So let me rephrase that: we played 1 1/4 games.
After last night, Tom Brady and the Patriots, yes, that was not quite a ball game.
Yeah, they don't like teams from Florida apparently up there in Massachusetts. They put 47 on the Jags, and they put 31 on my favorite team last night.
Oh, yeah. I remember that a week ago, Thursday. Now, Gene, you speak all across the state of Florida. What's the biggest question you've been getting asked regarding the Seminoles in this upcoming season?
Well, it was about how is quarterback E.J. Manuel going to be compared to Christian Ponda? That's always number one. Secondly, is our defense going to be better this year? And third, how about those freshman running backs in that number one recruiting class? How are they looking?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's tough to evaluate freshmen when they've only been in pads for a week. It's tough to evaluate freshmen. For example, James Wilder Jr., number one running back prospect in the country. He's operating like 4th team right now because the guys ahead of him are veterans. He's operating 4th team, and when he gets a chance to touch the football, he's going against the second team or the 3rd team defense. So I don't know if you really get a handle on how good these kids are. The coaches probably do, but as an observer, I can't tell you if James Wilder is going to be the next Sammy Smith or what. But I certainly think he has potential. About E.J. Manuel, obviously he's already had 6 starts under his belt. He's won 4 of those. The 2 losses were in the ACC championship game last year against a very good Virginia Tech team, and hey, it wasn't his fault that Virginia Tech scored 43 points. We scored 33, but and then the other loss was in Gainesville. I think it was on Tim Tebow Day. So those are the only 2 losses he has suffered as a starter, and I think he's going to be a quality quarterback, and maybe in that mold of getting a little buzz for Heisman Trophy. You don't want to put pressure on EJ, but I think he's that good of a talent, and he does have some receivers that can catch the football.
He absolutely does. Well, year 2 of the Jimbo Fisher season begins very soon, Gene. Have you talked to Jimbo since the family announced his son and dealing with the very tough situation of the rare blood disease?
Yes, I have, but I have to say this, that I'm letting that belong to the family, and I think that they came out and had the press conference. We understand what the treatment is. We do know they're still searching for a match that will enable Ethan to undergo some kind of marrow transplant or what it requires. And I think that that's family business. Right now, I've got to be interested, and I think Jimbo is too, although family does come first for Jimbo, and it does for me. But I'm not going to pry into Jimbo's private life and family life just because I'm around him on call-in shows and talk shows and interview him after practices. I want to talk about Florida State football. I think he appreciates that.
Right. Well, also, Gene, I want to ask you, too, because the hype around Florida State football is definitely back. What has impressed you the most about Jimbo Fisher and the year plus that he's been head coach?
The organization, the emphasis on now. That's the motto this year, living the now. The practices, the way they're organized. Jimbo is all over the field, offense, defense, special teams. His staff, it's incredible to watch a Florida State football practice and the amount of work they get into, the hours that you're allowed to work in practice in preparation for a football season. It's like It's like watching a Michelangelo paint the Sistine Chapel ceiling. I mean, everything is orchestrated. It's hey, I'm glad I don't have pads on in 100-degree heat in the humidity of Tallahassee, Florida. It's hot enough watching, and they've cut down all the trees. I can't find any shade anymore. I don't know what Marvin Jones would have done. His nickname was Shade Tree. When he wasn't active practice, he was over there under the shade tree. There's no more shade on that practice field. But no, I'm very impressed. And in the recruiting, you have to believe that Jimbo's philosophy is if you want to win championships, you have to recruit championship caliber players. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what he has done. His 2 recruiting classes are in the top 5, and it looks like from early commitments, for what that's worth, that he's going to have another top 5 recruiting class this year. I think you're going to see the result of that effort on the recruiting trail pay off on the gridiron when Florida State plays the powerhouse teams in the ACC and Oklahoma and the University of Florida. I think you're going to see a very talented Florida State football team, not only this year, but in years to come.
We're talking with Gene Deckerhoff, voice of the Florida State Seminoles, right here on Miller on Sports. Well, Gene, you just kind of led me into the next question, next topic, September 17th, Oklahoma. How big is that game?
Yeah, that's 4 weeks from tomorrow, by the way. That's a month away, 28 days. Florida State plays in 2 weeks, 2 weeks from tomorrow. FSU will play the University of Louisiana Monroe. Then we have Charleston Southern, 2 teams that Florida State should beat. And then comes Oklahoma, the Oklahoma Sooners. And you know what? I saw an NFL team last night that reminds me an awful lot of what Oklahoma did to Florida State a year ago. I saw the New England Patriots just absolutely pick apart and mow down a Buccaneer defense that everybody was sort of excited about. I saw them score on 3 consecutive possessions and lead 21-0. That's what Oklahoma did essentially against Florida State a year ago. So that's the big ball game. Everybody's pointing to that ball game, and take care of it, and it'll be a number 1 versus number 4 team. And the winner of that team could vault to say at number 1 Oklahoma. If Florida State knocks off Oklahoma, does it convincingly, Florida State could vault to the number 1 spot in the country. Then, you got to play Clemson the next week in Clemson, a place where we have not won since 2001.
Well, a couple weeks ago, Gene, we saw that former FSU player Deion Sanders inducted in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Quite impressive. What's your best memory of Deion at Florida State?
Well, at that time, I syndicated a radio program that was carried on stations all over the state. And 1 year in the business, and Host Communications took over the marketing rights, and that went away. But Deion would always give me a quote. He sort of see me walking over with a microphone. He said, "Wow." The other thing, as I was broadcasting a baseball game for Sun Sports, it was Sunshine Network at the time, and Deion had run in a track meet, and then came over and participated. And I think he went like 3 for 3 or something in baseball. But he was just a tremendous athlete. I had not seen Deion until May. It was early May, the Derek Brooks retirement party at Raymond James Stadium, and I was invited by Derek to MC that function and had a chance to visit with Deion and congratulated him on being in the Hall of Fame. As far as plays, the punt Ruski play, Rich, the punt Ruski play will always stand out. What somebody called it the best play since My Fair Lady. We didn't score a touchdown. We kicked the game-winning field goal at Clemson in 1988. But prior to the punt Ruski play, it's what I call I'm taking this back play, and Deion Sanders pointed, and the sideline microphone picked up Deion telling the Clemson team, "I'm taking this one back." And son of a gun, if he didn't do it, he ran, zigzagged, and he even hurdled. The kicker was Gardocki, I think, the punter, and he hurdled over the punter and took it in, and he took a knee. And then we had the highlights of that game on the Bobby Bowden TV show, and we freeze-framed the highlights when he went down on a knee. I think everybody that had a cup of ice in their hand that wore Clemson orange was throwing something at Deion when he scored that touchdown. But that's classic Deion Sanders, and hey, I think the Deion Sanders excitement is back. Not going to put pressure on these kids, but there's some Deion Sanders candidates in that secondary for the Florida State Seminoles, and that's as good a looking secondary as we've had since T-Buck and Deion and the great ones played at Florida State. In my opinion, we'll find out when we play Oklahoma.
Definitely looking forward to the season. Talk Radio 600 WBOB is your home for Florida State football. Gene, it was a pleasure. Enjoy tonight. Right. Enjoy the weekend. We have football. Enjoy the season.
All right. Okay. Go Noles.
There you go.
Tonight.
Gene Deckerhoff. There he goes. You can catch more Gene tonight. Seminole Booster Club starts at 5:30 at Latitude 30. The voice of the Seminoles. What a pleasure that was. John Vitas, our very own at WBOB. He'll be speaking as well tonight at the event. Latitude 30, free and open to the public. Gene Deckerhoff, a legend, right here on Miller on Sports. Check him off my list. There he goes. Thanks again to Jack Hicks as well, Director of Marketing for the River City Disc Golf Association, joining the program. Coming up, we've got the Jay Sekulow Show, the Jordan Sekulow Show, and Glenn Beck at 3. You've been listening to Miller on Sports right here on Talk Radio 600 WBOB.
Serious injury cases require serious representation. Hello, I'm attorney Ron Scholes. If you've suffered a